Hey yo, shut your mouth.
Game time. The gridiron.
Shut your mouth podcasting.
Yards, touchdowns.
Shut your mouth podcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats.
Welcome to the Sim Podcast. I'm your co-host Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host Ron. What a run!
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. Ron, this is episode 155, and we're gonna talk about the New England Patriots.
Your team.
The roster, the schedule, the stats, predictions, everything that comes along with it. But first, before we do that, let's talk about the news, the NFL news, and let's talk about Najee Harris to the New York Giants. So
Makes
he
sense.
basically went from another Harbaugh to another Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So I think the other Harbaugh Jim put a good word for him, right?
I don't think he needed to. I think he saw a lot of it when a lot of Najee when he played for the Steelers. So, he saw Najee running over his players and said, we need some of that. I think it's a perfect fit. I think he'll fit right in. You don't need necessarily to give him the ball 30, 40 times. He got some other capable backs, but late in the season, when you need a grinder, he's going to be the right guy, I think, for them.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good fit. The other set of news is Goodell is thinking about, or he said is very confident that there's going to be an outside American team NFL. So I know that he's doing this testing Mexico City, Brazil, but it's probably going to be in Europe, right?
I don't know. I would imagine so. Somewhere in Europe, most likely London. But, we've had games now in Germany. Steelers are going to France this year. I think, is there a game in Australia this year? I don't know.
Yeah, I think San Francisco's playing there.
Yeah. I would imagine it's going to be London. That makes the most sense. But, I'm not for this idea at all, to be honest with you. I would rather the NFL spends their time and effort and money fixing or creating a developmental system for guys who want to make the NFL. I know college is supposed to be it, but I think there's opportunity to do like what baseball's doing, with the minor league system. I wish the NFL would do something like that. Instead of trying to expand to other countries where football will never be the top sport in some of those other countries.
It's all about the money, right? It's all about getting. I think they're going to get a new stadium. It's going to be a lot of hoopla, and then we'll see if people show up. If the team is any good, yes. But if the team starts sucking from day one, nobody's going to show up.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just the logistics alone to have to travel overseas, even if it's just like England, it's a disadvantage for any team having to travel there, for them having to travel on the road. You're talking about like multiple hours on a plane or whatever. And, I just don't see it working. If you would have told me Canada, maybe I could see that. They got the CFL there. Maybe
Canada,
you could do something.
Maybe in Mexico City.
Yeah. But again, like, do those countries want the NFL there?
We'll see.
Yeah.
The fans keep buying tickets. They keep showing up.
Which fans, though?
The fans that show up are not like particular fans of the team.
I don't think so either.
I think it's a variation. It's like, I root for the Vikings, but I'm going to go to the NFL thing. I root for Baltimore, but none of those teams are playing.
Yeah. They're probably giving away those tickets over there, I would imagine, free. Right? If it's not going to the sponsors, they're like, hey, we need to fill the stadium. Let's give out some tickets for free so people, it looks like, there's a huge interest. I just don't see it.
I think it's going to work out at first, and then if the team does not good, it's going to fade fast.
Yeah.
Especially if, they have so many international football leagues. It's like, well, how is this going to work? So we'll see. The other side of news, Terry Arnold signed, even though I can't even comprehend this. Like, he was charged, but not really. And then
he's charged.
So is he going to do time?
Potentially. I think they are still reviewing it at this point, but 8 counts. 8 felony counts, 4 for robbery, 4 for kidnapping. And I don't know if they've set a date as yet. I don't know where we're at in terms of like the court system, but that part needs to play out. Then you got the NFL and their investigation needs to play out. So, you know, he visited several teams. The guy's talented. He's a first round pick, you know, so, you know, I think teams did their homework as best as they can. Seattle, arguably the best secondary as it is already, said, why not? Like, what's the risk for going out and signing him, even if he has to sit out like multiple games? You know, they're probably like, what's the risk? Let's go grab him. It's worth getting him. So
yeah, because they're not going to give him a contract right away because technically he's not going to play right away. So yeah, they have his rights basically. So yeah, I can see that. I take a risk, but then like, do you put him in the, you know, like do you give him a roster spot, or do you put him on the unable to perform list for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are. It'd probably be on the commissioner's exempt list, I would imagine. And that would I assume save them a roster spot. And then once he gets off that list, he'll be able to get back, you know, on the roster. But you know, listen, Seattle, teams that want to win it all, especially teams that have been there already and knows what it takes to get there and are, you know, can get right back there again, they're going to go for it. They're going to make these type of moves. So I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I had a problem with it. It's just that I think, you know, Seattle got sold and bought by a new person. Is this how you want to start off your first acquisition? Is like, well, we're gonna bring like someone who got accused of all this stuff. Like, okay, here we go again. I guess it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you're accused of.
Right.
So it is what it is. All right, Ron. Let's get into it. Let's get into the Patriots roster. Let's go to the most important position, the QB. What is your grading?
Listen, we did QB rankings, what was it, like 2 weeks ago or so? And I'm going to pull up the list to see where I have Drake May. I had Drake May as the 9th best quarterback in the league. I think he's a very good quarterback. I loved how he played last year. I'll say that the competition last season wasn't very good, and he's going to face much stiffer competition this year. Having said that, I think he has all sorts of talent with his arm, with his legs, and he's capable of being a top 5 quarterback. But he's right now, I don't have him ranked that way, so I gave him a B+, because again, he's not Mahomes, he's not Herbert, he's not, plenty other quarterbacks that I can name, but he's definitely capable. So I gave him a solid B+.
I went with an A+ only because we're talking about somebody who almost won the MVP last year. So I'm expecting that same player to show up, even though technically he should have a better weapons, better offensive line, running backs. I guess we're going to run it back, but we'll talk about that later. So I give him an A+, and Tommy DeVito, I mean, he's a competent backup. He's not going to come in and just like whoa you, like, whoa, it's okay. I mean, and then they drafted some other guy. I don't know if he's going to make the team.
The season's over if May gets hurt.
Basically, the season's over. So it's going to be a lot on his shoulders. And that's the way it should be. Like, if your quarterback is down and you don't have a good backup or somebody, can at least perform, your season's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A la Denver last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, that's what happened. They didn't go to the Super Bowl because the quarterback was hurt.
Right.
Ron, what did you give the receivers?
Yeah, the receiving room is good. I gave them a solid B. I love what they did in the offseason, bringing Romeo Doubs in. I think they got a lot of talent, lots of depth, lots of like number 2 and 3 receivers. AJ Brown, is he the number 1? Probably, but I know financially he is. Will he get the most targets? We'll talk about our predictions in terms of stats later on. But I love the unit. I think they're a great unit. I gave them a B. I can't give them an A. We'll get to your score here in a second, but they're not, Cincinnati. They're not, Minnesota Vikings in terms of their receivers. They're not the Rams in terms of, there's no Puka Nacua out there. So I love Brown, and Dobbs, and I love the depth that they have, but I gave them a solid B.
I give them an A because AJ Brown is going to be there. I think they're top 10 overall receiving core. They're definitely in the best receiving core in the AFC East for sure. So I give them an A. I think, like you mentioned, Dobbs is going to make a big difference. He's been looking good in the offseason. AJ Brown, I think he's going to be a number one for sure. Because one-on-one, I think he's the best one out there. I mean, I love Jefferson and Chase and all that. I think he's pretty good one-on-one. And then, you have everyone else. You have DeMario. You have Kyle Williams, who I didn't think he was going to make the team, but it looks like he might make the team. And then you have Mac Collins, who's a good blocker. He's not going to wow you, but he didn't have that many drops that I saw the way you were like, oh man, he should have caught that ball. I didn't have that overall with any of these receivers. So I'm very confident.
Yeah, lots of depth for sure. They're going to have a hard time deciding like who makes the team at the receiving position and who doesn't, because there's just so much talent there. Lots of guys that contributed last year, like you said, have returned. And on top of that, they add Dobbs to it. So it's a good group. Yeah,
it's a good group. Where'd you land with the running backs?
I gave them a B. I think they're, Stevenson and Hendrickson, is that his name? Good Henderson, a very good 1-2 punch. I don't like the depth behind those two guys. So, something happens in terms of an injury, I'd be a little bit worried, but I think they're solid. So I gave them a B, B ranking. Again, there's no, I'm not going to give them an A or anything like that, because again, there's no Jahmyr Gibbs, there's no Saquon, or there's none of those top 5 guys on the team, but I gave him a solid B.
Yeah, I give him a C only because I think Henderson, his rookie year, he was amazing. I'm hoping that he improves. And Stevenson, I think he's going to take a step down. And like I said, the depth is an issue. They just lost Hasty to like a knee injury. So Jam Miller, which they drafted this year, is going to have to step up. I think they're lacking depth, and that's something that is going to be a problem when we get to the defense. I don't think they have enough depth, but running backs, I gave them a C. Ron, what'd you do with the tight ends?
Yeah. Tight ends, I gave him a B-. I really like Henry, and then we'll see what we get out of the rookie. Again, not a position with a lot of depth here, but Henry is a player that had, I think, close to 700 yards receiving, 768 yards receiving last year. I don't think he'll get to those numbers this season with all the receivers that they have, but he's more than capable tight end, so I gave them a B-.
I went with the C because I believe that tight ends, I gave him a B. It could have been a C because I think Hunter's getting up there in age. I know he just got a contract, but I think was it 14 for 1 year? I think that's a lot. I know that he was, he was probably one of the top receiving tight ends, but 14 mil for a guy that's turning 32, 33, I think that's a lot. They did draft a couple of guys to tight end. I want to see them in action, see what they do, but I'm not ecstatic like I used to be. One of the biggest concerns last year is that this team couldn't run. I know that was kind of like a secret, but I don't know if it was the blocking. I don't know if it was not the running back. They just couldn't block. So I don't know if Hunter is up to the task.
Yeah, he's not a blocking tight end.
He's not a blocking tight end. So we'll see. Where did you land with the offensive line?
Listen, this group is not that great. I gave them a C-. I don't think they're as bad as some people think, though. Yeah, there's issues and questions at the tackle position, but I gave them a C minus. I think, let's see, how well they do this year. I think they have some solid players. So I gave them a C minus.
I went rough with them. I went D plus because I think that there were two reasons why they were terrible in the Super Bowl. They just couldn't block, and Drake May was not 100%. So those two combinations really hurt them. Now they got Vera Tucker, which was a number 1 pick by the Jets. Let's hope that he can live up to that standard. And then they plugged in another new guy from Oregon, a rookie, Lemieux, who everyone was making fun of him because he was making these crazy dance videos. But he's apparently, he was a good blocker against the Colts the other day. So we'll see. Campbell I guess he was hurting. He had a ACL injury, but he played through it.
They all say that.
I mean, you're going to get hit on every play. It just comes with territory. So I went D plus. I'm hoping that they mesh and they are better. We'll see when the next preseason, when maybe Drake May takes a couple of snaps, but there's so much so much potential that they have to get straight. So I went low on this. Ron, let's switch to the defense now. What did you give the linebackers?
I gave them a C plus. I think they're okay, middle of the pack, if you will. I think they have some good vets that have a lot of experience and can play, but they lack speed. They lack athletic ability in some cases. So I gave them a C plus.
Also, I went rough with them. I went D plus because, as I mentioned before, the depth issue. Landry is getting up there in age. Blaine is getting up there in age. Yes, they could be great, but then you have to sub them out.
Right.
Who are you going to sub them out with?
Yeah.
So last year they did not have a true pass rush. Chason is not with the team anymore. He left. He was 1 year and done. Jacksonville drafted him number 1, but he performed and then he was out. They never gave him a contract extension. So I'm kind of, this is going to be their weak point. I think that they have no pass rush. They can maybe stop the run, but I want to see that pass rush when, it's 3rd and long, 2nd and long. I want to see that. What did you give the corners?
I love the cornerback group with Gonzalez. You know how I feel about him. I think he's the best corner in the league. I gave him an A minus. I don't think it's the best group in the league. I'll leave that to Houston and, again with Seattle. But they're up there. They're really good cornerback group. So I gave them an A minus.
I went with an A plus, and only A plus was Gonzalez. The other guy that they have on the other side, I'm trying to look him up. He was with Detroit. Then he came over because Williams came over, but he's getting up there in age. I know they drafted a couple of guys, but I want to see. First of all, when it comes to man-to-man, they're going to do their job. But there's going to be a flag thrown somehow, some way to that other guy on the other side. So
Carlton Davis?
Carlton Davis, thank you. So I don't know what's going to happen. But just because Gonzalez is there, that side of the field is going to shut down. So I give him the A plus. Ron, what'd you give the safeties?
I gave him a C. I think they're okay. We'll see if Craig Woodson, the strong safety they drafted last year, can take a leap this year. I really liked him. I was hoping the Steelers would actually invest in the safety position and draft him, but they didn't. I expect them to take a little bit of a leap this year and get better, but I gave them a C for now as their grade.
Yeah, I also gave them a C. I mean, they drafted. They didn't draft this guy out of Miami. His 2nd year. I hope he turned into something. Saunders, and then like you said, that Woodson from California. He was a good player. Can he be a better player?
Right.
So I give him a C. Ron, what'd you give the defensive line?
I like the defensive line. I gave them a B plus. I think they are very stout defensive line group. I think Williams and Barrymore I'm assuming he's healthy and playing, right?
Yes, Barmore.
Those guys, those two are really good. So I gave him a B+.
Yeah, this is so far I give them, this is my 4th A because I really like the defensive line. I really like that guy Barmore. I really like that guy from the Eagles that they got. I really like the other. I like them all. All the defensive line there that they have. Trying to look at. So Jeremiah Farms did great last year. The other guy, I'm looking at it here.
Joshua Farmer, I think he was from Florida State, if I remember right. I can't remember if that's him. Yeah, Florida State, they drafted him last year in the 4th round.
Yep.
Another big-bodied guy. So they got some young players too, mixed in with their vets. So they're in decent position on the D line.
Yeah, and they got Eric Gregory. I'm looking at here. Yeah, they have a stout defensive line. Joshua Farmer, like you mentioned, Florida State. They're gonna wreck some habits. I don't know. I think they run a 4-3 base, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm excited to see them. But again, I know that they're gonna go man to man so that they have some type of pass rush. But when they play base defense, they're still gonna rush a quarterback. That's what gets me excited, is that they can still rush a quarterback using their base defense. What did you give the kickers?
Gave him a C. I don't know too much about your kicker. I gave him a solid.
I gave him a B-. He performed. Out of Miami, the kicker, Venezuelan guy, he performed. I gave him a B. What did you give the return?
I gave him a B. I do like your returners. Might be a little bit low, but I gave him a B.
Yeah, Marcus Jones, I give him an A. I think he's elite when it comes to, punts, returns. When it comes to kickoff returns, he's elite. So I give him an A. So what was the average score for this team, Ron?
I gave him a B, solid B. I think, listen, they're a good team. They have a good roster. Not perfect, but by any means, but they have a pretty good roster. And they can win, some games. So I gave them a solid B.
Yeah, I think this is a B+ team. Like you mentioned before, the schedule is going to be harder, but I feel like the roster is improved from last year. We'll see when the schedule happens. And speaking of the schedule, Ron, let's do our schedule predictions. First game off the bat, the opening game versus Seattle, September 9th at Seattle. Ron, what'd you give them?
Is this game on a Wednesday for real?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Home game at Seattle. I'm giving them a lot. I think Seattle's the better team. Arguably, first or second best team in the NFL. So I'm giving the Patriots a loss here.
I looked at this game back and forth because this game is going to determine whether they go 9-8 or 10-7. I gave them a win. I think they need to win this game. Number one, they need to have some kind of redemption for what happened in the Super Bowl. Number two, these guys, they've been partying it up. I saw a couple of those Hard Knock shows. They're very loose.
Okay.
They're very loose. They're very
That's
nonchalant.
confidence.
Yes, you can have the confidence when you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to bite them in the butt.
Listen, let's be clear. They didn't just win the Super Bowl. They manhandled the Patriots in their Super Bowl win. Okay, it was a tale of two completely different teams.
I think they got the Patriots went. First of all, they were on the decline. The Patriots were on the decline.
Okay.
They weren't.
And they're in the incline now.
They're in the incline now.
All right.
Fully healthy. They got AJ Brown. I'm giving them the W.
Okay.
Second game Sunday versus Pittsburgh on the 20th. What did you give them?
Surprise! I changed my prediction, and I'm giving the Patriots an L. I've seen enough from preseason week one.
You're buying the Drew Aller.
No, I'm not buying Drew Aller nonsense or anything like that. But listen, I love how the offense looked on the Steelers. And I had to go back and change my prediction for the Steelers. I gave them 11 wins now, up with the Patriots win. Beating the Patriots, I'm giving the Steelers 11 wins, and I'm giving the Patriots a loss here. I'm confident. Couple things. The defense is going to be actually better than they were last year. I'm not saying Patriots going to have like 5 or 6 turnovers like they did last year, but I think the defense is going to be a lot better. And then offensively for the Steelers, they have looked really good. So I'm gonna pick the Steelers to win this one and have the Patriots start off 0-2.
Sounds like this is gonna be a wager because I give them a win. We're gonna trounce Pittsburgh. It's gonna be you're gonna be crying. You're gonna be leaving in the third quarter. You'll be like, I've seen enough.
Is that what happened to you last year? Did you see enough last season?
The game was close, even though we have 5 turnovers. It was a still close game. I know you don't remember. It's okay. This is the third week, Sunday, September 17th at Jacksonville. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, switch this one here. I gave them a win. I think they can go on the road and beat Jacksonville. I'm not at all, optimistic about Jack. Yeah, I get, I like the coach. I like the quarterback's okay, but, I think the Patriots can win. I think if they're down 0-2, they'll need to win. I think that's exactly what they'll do, and they'll beat Jacksonville.
I give them an L on this one. I think Jacksonville is going to be, first of all, it's going to be super hot in September in Jacksonville. Patriots don't do well with hot weather. And I think second year coach in Jacksonville is going to have Trevor Lawrence ready. I don't think that will be able to compete with Jacksonville, so I give them an L.
Is this a second year or third year?
Second year.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Week 4, Sunday, October 4th at Buffalo. Ron, what'd you give them?
I'm giving the Patriots a loss here. This one's on the road, and these are two teams that are pretty evenly matched. Patriots, we talked about them and how their roster has improved a little bit. So has the Bills. The Bills roster improved as well, and I don't think the Bills played well last year. I think Josh Allen will be on a mission this year. I love the fact that they got the receiver from Chicago. I think he's going to be huge for them. I'm taking the Bills to win this one.
Yeah, I give the Bills the win on this one too. I know that last year the Patriots went on the road and beat them with the Bills wearing that white uniform, and they were like all excited. I think the stadium is going to be loud. I think it's brand new. The Patriots are just coming into town. They're going to be, and when we talk about the Bills going forward, I think they split the series, but I'm going to give this win to the Bills. Week 5, October 11th versus Las Vegas. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, Raiders beat them last year. I don't think Patriots going to get caught off guard again this year. And so despite Cousins, how well he played, Mendoza, if he is playing at this point, I don't think the Raiders are good enough to beat the Patriots. So I'm giving the Patriots a win.
Yeah, this should be an easy W. I give them the win too. Week 6, Sunday, October 18th versus the New York Jets. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, definitely a win here. The Jets are probably the worst team in the NFL, so I think they should win this one pretty easily.
Yeah, this should be easy victory. Even though I've seen Breece Hall is having a good offseason or preseason, but
just got hurt.
There you go.
In a couple weeks.
Game number 7. This is a Thursday night game, October 22nd versus the Bears at Chicago.
Yeah.
Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, at Chicago and on a Thursday, so short rest. I'm giving the Patriots a loss here, giving the Bears a win. I think it's going to be tough sledding to, quick turnaround time on the road. Never easy for that team, so I'm giving them an L.
This is going to be draft number 1 against draftee number 3. battle of the quarterbacks. I think short rest. I trust Brable to get the troops ready. I give them the W. I think we can beat the Bears. Even though, who's the receiver they just picked up?
I'm not sure. Can't remember.
Oh no, I'm thinking the Bills just picked up a receiver.
Yeah, their receiver, right?
Yeah. Week number 8, Sunday, November 1st, at Miami. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, another really bad team. I don't know if Miami's going to be able to compete at all. I know this game's in Miami. It'll probably still be warm, but I'm giving the Patriots a win here.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know who they're trying out there. Can you name a Miami receiver?
No,
nobody knows. So I give New England a W here. Week number 9, Sunday, November 8th, at Green Bay. Ron, what'd you give them?
I had a loss initially for this game, but I just don't trust Jordan Love at all. I assume Parsons will be back and playing at this point, but I think Jordan Love, he's so hot and so cold at times. I see this as a game that the Patriots can go into Green Bay and win, so I'm going to give them a win here.
I actually give them a loss. I think that Green Bay at home, it's pretty tough team to beat. Jordan Love, he can be up and down, but I think that this game, Dobbs is probably going to be excited to be in Green Bay, but the rest of the team is going to be like, what? Green Bay, what? I don't know what Green Bay's about. So I give them a loss, even though that would be in November. Maybe in November it gets cold in Green Bay. I don't know. So it is a frozen tundra after all. Week 10, Saturday. This is Saturday game. Because this is gonna be a Germany, right? This is gonna be a Sunday morning. I don't know why they have Saturday yet, but Saturday, November 15 is really a Sunday. It's a morning show. Overseas, Detroit supposed to be a home game, but what'd you give them?
I am giving the Patriots a loss here. I think Detroit is a team that needs to rebound. I think they are on the decline for sure. You mentioned decline. I think they're a team that's declining, but I think they have a lot of talent still, and I think they can put together some wins to make the playoffs. I think they need to do that, to be quite honest with you. I expect a competitive game, but I'm taking Detroit to win this one.
Yeah, I actually have Detroit winning this one as well. I think that, I don't know, it depends. It really depends if they have the offense figured out by then. If they don't, this should be a victory for New England. But if they do have it figured out, I think this is going to be an easy win for Detroit. It's an overseas game. I think this game is in Germany. It's a 9:30 game. I don't think the Patriots have won internationally at all, so I give the Patriots now here. Week 11 is a bye week, so we go into week number 12, November 29th, Sunday, at Los Angeles Chargers. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, so just to recap, I have the Patriots at this point at 5-5 before the bye week. You have them at 6-4. I have them losing to Detroit before they bye week, and I think they come back out and lose again because the Chargers, I think their center just went down today at practice, but they are a very, very good team. I think they can compete for the Super Bowl. I'm going to give the Chargers at home to a win here.
Yeah, I think they win this one too. There's 3 losses in a row. I don't know if that's ever happened in a Mike Vrabel team. I know he had a bad season with Tennessee before they fired him, but Herbert is a better quarterback. Drake May is not there yet. Plus, this is in the playoffs, so Herbert should be a better quarterback as he is in a regular season. So I give the Chargers a W here. Next game, week 13. Buffalo goes into town December 6th. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, this is where I have the Patriots getting a 3rd loss in a row. So I got Buffalo with the win. and actually sweeping the Patriots. I initially had them, winning one game to one game, but I'm giving Buffalo the sweep. I think, like I said, they need to show something this year. I think they will. They'll be up for this game. I give Buffalo the win.
Yeah, this is where they split. I think I give New England the win. Either Joe Brady's a good coach or he's a bad coach. We'll know by this time. I think that he's a bad coach. First year coach. I don't know if he's going to be winning games in December. So I give the Patriots a W here. Week 14. This is another Thursday game against Minnesota. December 10th, excuse me. At home. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, another short rest. But this time they're at home. So they're the home team. I think the home team usually wins these games. I'm giving them a win against Minnesota.
I'm giving them a win because I don't trust Kyler Murray or J.D. McCarthy. They could be out of it by the time this game comes around. So who knows what Kevin McConnell is going to throw at them. I just still see New England with W here. Week 15, Sunday, December 21st, at Kansas City. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, a loss. Kansas City at home is tough, and they'll be looking to prove their doubt is wrong, and they'll be looking to prove anyone who doesn't think they're still Super Bowl contenders wrong. So I think Mahomes will be on a mission, and I'm giving the Patriots a loss here.
Yeah, I'm also giving the Patriots a loss. I don't know if Mahomes, if they're a Super Bowl contender team. I just saw Kelsey. They just showed a picture of him like 30 pounds overweight. He's like, I'm still a good receiver. Has they look at the division lately? They're not the top dog anymore.
No, I don't think so. But
no, so this is gonna be an interesting game, but I still think Kansas City pulls it up at home. Week 16. This is Sunday, December 27th, at New York Jets. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, they'll sweep the Jets. I'm giving them a win.
Yeah, me too. The Jets are a mess. I'll give the New England a W. Will Glenn still be coaching by this time?
Good question. I don't know. Probably not.
I agree. I think that he'll be gone by this time. I think they're going to have an interim coach, and he's going to lose this game, so it doesn't matter. Week 17 is a flex game versus Denver. Ron, what'd you give him?
If you think Sean Payton doesn't remember what happened this past year, you're mistaken. I think Denver is going to throw the kitchen sink at the Patriots, and that's bad for the Patriots. So I'm giving them a loss here.
Listen, there's a reason why Payton was involved in the whole Bounty Gate thing, because he remembered all the quarterbacks. He remembered who. I give New England a loss here. I think Denver wants revenge. I mean, even after the game was over, they were still like, they wouldn't give New England any credit for the victory. They're like, it should have been us. It should have been us. So yeah, I think they're gonna be smelling blood for this. Last game, week 18, another flex game. Miami goes into New England. Ron, what'd you give them?
Yeah, another sweep here. So I'm giving Patriots the sweep of Miami and giving them the win. They should be able to win this game. They're a better team than Miami. So I got them sweeping Miami, got them sweeping the Jets. I just also have them sweeping or getting swept by Buffalo.
So what? Because I also give a W to New England. So what's your overall record?
Yeah, 8-9 is my overall record. I think it can easily be 9-8. I can see them maybe even getting to 10-7, depending on how injuries fall. But I'm giving them 8-9. I think they have a much tougher schedule. I think again, there's some teams like Detroit, like Kansas City, like Denver that are going to be in a mission. I think Seattle, that first game, right? If they can start off on the right foot and win that game, then okay, then you convince me they can get to 10 wins. But I think if they get off to a bad start, it's going to be tough breading for them. So I'm giving them 8 wins.
What's interesting is that they on the market, they're actually not favored to win the division. But I was looking at the Buffalo Bills schedule, and it's not like it's a cakewalk schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the Texans in there, they have the Lions in there, they have the Rams in there. I'm talking about Buffalo. They also have the Ravens in there. They have the Chiefs in there. They have the Bears. It's not a cakewalk, so it's not guaranteed that they're going to win the division. And last year, they were good for 12 victories. I don't know if 12 victories will win the division. I think 11 victories and you win the division. So I'm going to probably get on that right away. The fact that they don't have New England winning the division. I think that 10, maybe 11 wins for sure wins the division. So I'm leaning towards that happening this year.
Yeah, I was looking at the odds. The 9.5, I think, is what I'm seeing on most of the sports books. The over-unders for them. So
yeah, so
listen, I can see them winning 10, but I could also see them, winning 8. So.
Well, last year they didn't have any major injuries, which was, major. They didn't have any major injuries. They had an easy schedule, so everything was good. I don't know if this year with the hard schedule and no injuries is going to happen again. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's get to the stat predictions. Ron, what you predict for Drake May this year?
Yeah, I think he's going to have another solid season. I think he'll build off of what he did last year. Like I said, the weapons are better. I think he needs to use his receivers a little bit more. I'm giving him 4,500 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions.
Yeah, I have given him 4,500 yards passing, 35 TDs, and 10 interceptions. I think that, I know last year he had 47 sacks. I don't think he's going to have that many sacks. And I don't think that, he had a fumbling issue. I think that this year he's going to throw it away. He's not going to force it. So hopefully all those things come to fruition. But I think he's going to have a, similarly better or equal year last year. What do you think of the running backs?
Yeah, I think this is the year that Henderson overtakes Stevenson, and Henderson had a good year last year. I think he rushed for like 900 yards or something, or somewhere around there. I think he goes over 1,000. I have him at 1,100 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a lot of explosive plays. I also got him with 450 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns in the receiving game. And then for Stevenson, I think he takes a step back, like you had mentioned earlier. I gave him 400 yards rushing. I do have him with 8 touchdowns. I think he'll be the goal line running back, if you will. 200 yards receiving and 1 receiving touchdown.
I actually have Henderson right at the 1,000 yards rushing mark. And I do see Stevenson taking a step back with the rushing. 15 TDs for Henderson, 5 for Stevenson. However, a lot of people don't know this, but Stevenson was actually the better receiver than Henderson. There was a lot of times where Henderson, for some reason, every time he got the ball, he tried to juke move people and it didn't work. So they stopped passing the ball. I do see Stevenson getting more receiving yards, 500 to Henderson 300. So I also see Stevenson not as high as 15, maybe like 10 receiving touchdowns and
There's
5
no
receivers.
way. That would be like...
Listen, I think that they're going to be better in the red zone than they were last year.
Yeah, but they're going to run the ball, right? Not pass to Stevenson.
If AJ Brown is going to take out 2 guys, I can see where they have an outlet pass to a Stevenson. So I think he's gonna do good with the receiving touchdowns. What do you have for AJ Brown?
I have him a solid year, and I kind of like thought about like Patriots and their stats last year, and then their roster this year. And I don't know. I mentioned who's the number one. I know Brown is getting paid like it, but I can see like Dobbs, who's more like Diggs, right, than AJ Brown is, I could see Dobbs leading the team in reception. So I'm only giving AJ Brown 70 receptions. I'm giving him 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. And 800 yards might seem alarming, but it's not if you think, you're probably going to end up getting close to 900, 1,000 yards by Dobbs if he plays like Diggs. You got like all the other receivers there. You got Henry, like we just talked about. I don't think he'll get as much as 700 yards again. I think those numbers will go down, but I think May's going to spread the ball around, and that there's only so much to go around. So I was a little bit conservative with Brown's numbers. I'm giving him 800 yards.
This is going to be the old AJ Brown. I'm not talking about the past couple of years. I'm talking about when he first got to the Eagles, when he was at Tennessee, when this dude was throwing him the ball. I forgot his name, the Tennessee quarterback. I have him with 80 receptions. I have him with 1,200 yards, 10 TDs. I know Boutte is actually gonna be on the team, and he's really like your deep target. But I think those deep targets are gonna go to AJ Brown. I just feel like there's gonna be less running by Drake May and more passing, and I think that, like I said, there's so many receivers there, but AJ Brown is gonna want the ball a la Stephon Diggs. But there was time with Stephon Diggs, if he didn't have the right matchup, he could get lost. So every matchup is gonna be good for AJ Brown. Doesn't matter who it is, because he's so tall. He's such a big guy. I just really like the fact that he's on the team. So.
I just don't see them forcing it to Brown. Not when you got Dobbs, who's a much better route runner, and he's like Diggs, who he can get open. So, why would you force feed it to him? And then I don't see, you talked about Boutte, you talked about Hollins earlier. I don't see Douglas either taking a step back. He had 450 yards receiving last year. Collins 550 yards, Boutte 551 yards. So unless you're telling me, May's going to throw for like 5,000 yards or something, I'm curious about how
if the offensive line is better, I think he can be very capable of doing it. I don't see it, but I think he's very capable of doing it. It all depends of what kind of system. I know this is not a comparison. I'm sorry for saying this, but Randy Moss, who was a freak.
Why even say it?
Just came into the picture. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he came into the picture. He got open. That's why I expect AJ Brown. Just get open. The ball will find you. Just get open. And I think that's what's going to happen. Let's go to the questions, Ron. The first question. What do you think of the offseason roster moves?
I like them. I think they have improved their roster for sure. I think Dobbs is huge pickup for them. So I think they're making the right moves. I do think they still need to get a lot younger in some positions. We talked about the linebacker position, for example, need to add some depth with some youth at certain places for sure. But I think they did a pretty good job this offseason.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think they knew that decline in the playoffs, it should not happen. So they went out there and they got better wideout. They drafted some people. They signed some offensive line. I think there's much improved, so I really liked it. Second question, which player position battle are you most forward to watch?
Yeah, we talked about the receivers. I still got questions about, again, like how much attention are they going to give to AJ Brown when you got Dobbs and Boutte and all the other guys? So, and then you got like some guys deep in the roster too, like Kyle Wilson, you just drafted last year. Chisholm, I think, is a good player. Like how many of these receivers make the team, and how good is this competition going to be? That's what I've been excited about.
Yeah, I think the wide receiver is one thing, but I think the offensive line has to be better. So I want Campbell to be better. I want rookie Lemus to be better. I'm trying to mispronounce his name. I want Vera Tucker to be better. So I really want to see what are they made out of. So I'm looking forward to the next preseason game to see if they get some play time. Which position group would you say is the weakest?
You just touched on it. Offensive line. I think that's where there could be a lot of problems. That's going to make or break the season for them.
I'm concerned with the linebackers. I think they're getting up there in age. I think that they don't have enough depth. So I want to see what they do as far as like bring somebody in, because it's so. I mean, we're only in the middle of August. They could still bring in some people. I think they just signed another offensive guy. And he's more in the veteran type of, but they keep bringing in people to see like, okay, if this player goes down, who's gonna step up? Where will this defense be ranked at the end of the season?
I think they'll be in the top 10. I think they have a really good defense actually between the defensive line. You got a couple of veteran, linebackers. They're up there in age, but they can still tackle. And then we talked about the secondary and how good it is. So I think the defense will be in the top 10.
I think it'll be in the top 15. I think they'll take a step back only because the schedule is a little bit harder than it was last year. But they're still going to be a good defense. They didn't have as many takeaways as we would like to see. I don't know if that's going to change the season, but they need to work on that, interceptions, fumbles, all that stuff. Which player will you have a breakout performance this year?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Henderson. Listen, I can see, last year, I think the coaching, they questioned whether or not they should give him the ball too much. I think they kind of held back a little bit. He is by far the most explosive running back on the team. They just need to trust that he's not going to mess things up and just give him the ball, let him let it loose. And I think, I think he's going to take off. I had him at 1,100 yards rushing. It wouldn't shock me if he goes above that. I think he's going to have tons of explosive plays. He has the speed to do so. So I can see him breaking out.
I think it's Kayshon Boutte. I think that AJ Brown is going to get all the attention, but Boutte is going to be like, hey, you guys drafted me. There was a lot of talk of him being traded. He still showed up for preseason. He wasn't like a sourpuss and just stayed at home. I think he knows that if he has a performance here, he's going to get paid. He's going to get a big contract. Maybe not from the Patriots, but for someone else.
How many yards are we talking about?
If he had 500 last year, I think he'll be close to like 800. But I really feel like he's a deep threat. So if AJ Brown is not open, it's going to go to Boutte.
That goes back to my yards thing. Like if you're allocating 800 to him, 11 or 1,200, I think you had to Brown. What the hell's Dobbs doing? What's everybody else doing?
Well, Dobbs and Douglas are going to be your short, third down players. So I don't think that they're going to amount unless they start breaking tackles and yards after the catch, right? But I just, we'll see if they third down, third and short. I do imagine them doing that. How many points per game do you expect the Patriots to score this season?
Yeah, how many points per game did they average last year?
I think they were at 24, but
no, I think they were probably higher than that.
You think so?
I would imagine they were in the top 6 last year. They were, if this is right, 28.8 points per game in 2025 regular season. That is a lot. That's second in the NFL, it looks like. So that makes sense. I think they'll be up there again. I'm going to give them 28 points a game. I think they'll be top 5. It's, there's teams that can go off for like 30 points a game. We've seen that happen quite a few times. So I'll give them 28 points a game this year. And again, I think they'll be in the top 5.
I think there's going to be a little bit of a drop. I give them maybe 27 because of the schedule being a little bit more difficult. But I think that they're going to be more efficient. I think they're going to be more they're going to hold the ball longer. They're going to have longer drives. There was a lot of drives that were long last year, but I feel like they got off the field very quickly. So I think there's going to be maybe like a point drop, 27, but I really, they got better in offense. So we'll see about that. So
this website is saying they were at 26.5 points a game last year, and which was 8th. So I don't know which one was right, but either way, I think, I'll give them 28 points a game. StatMuse is showing 28 points a game, 28.8 last year, so I trust them.
Yeah, Pro Football is showing 28.8. So yeah, I'm gonna go with 28 points because there was some games that they were like 40. They put up 40 points easy, but again, it was a schedule, so take it as you will. So overall, Ron, where are you with this team? Do you think that this is a playoff team?
I think they're capable, but I have them at 8 wins. I think their schedule's a lot tougher. I think that's going to be their downfall. They got some tough games, not just at home, but on the road. They got, the international games are going to be tough. I got them winning 8 games. You can talk me into giving them 9 wins. I don't know. We haven't done our predictions as yet in terms of records for every team and stuff like that. But 9 wins probably is not going to be enough. And 8 wins certainly isn't going to be enough to make the playoffs. So, we'll see how things shake out.
Yeah, I think this team is capable of not only winning the division, but getting the playoffs. Now, when they get in the playoffs, let's see how healthy they are. Let's see what Drake May is, what the offensive line is. This AJ Brown, I know he's getting up there in age, even though, he's at commercial, he's open 24/7, but let's see where he is at the end of the season. It's a long season.
Right.
We're talking about into like early January. So we'll see how it stacks out, but I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for the playoff, hopefully that they'll get. Ron, we're going to go watch that Pittsburgh New England game week 2. Are you gonna remember this game?
Yeah, for sure. I will remember this one. I'm gonna be, we'll be way up there in the stands, unfortunately, not like great seats like we did last year, but I'm going to be like focused. I think, the Steelers are gonna be a really good team this year. I think they'll surprise some people. So, but I still think it's gonna be a good game. Not, last year wasn't a bad game. It was competitive, but
yeah, it was a
it's
good
not going to
game
be as sloppy
year.
as like it was last year, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. And I think Tomlin was a lot like Bill Belichick in the fact that he waited for the other team to make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So I don't think that this year it's going to be like that. I think we're going to be on attack mode. Not that we weren't, but I think that we're really going to be in attack mode. So next week is going to be episode 156. We'll do our annuals over and unders. We'll have our awards. And then the following week, we'll do our divisions, playoffs, and Super Bowl picks. So until we meet again, I say peace.
Peace. All right, that's it, guys. That's the end of the show. Thanks so much for all your support and listening today. If you got any questions, comments, feedback, feel free to email us at simsportsmedia@gmail.com. That's SYMSPORTSMEDIA@gmail.com. Peace.
Sim Podcast Show.